Hey guys, Tech Yeti here. We're back again, and I'm going to be starting a new series called Help Desk. And in this series of Help Desk, we're basically going to be doing training on the normal day to day activities of a help desk technician, what you will be doing, what you're going to be expected to know on the first day of your job. Granted, when you start your new job in the help desk as like a help desk support technician or computer analyst or anything like that, you're not going to be expected to know the ins and outs of how the business works. You know, printer shares, print servers, application shares, where they house everything, the specific type of software they use. But you will need to know the actual uh, easy tasks that a help desk person will need to know to get the job done. And if you don't know these things, the job is going to be a little more difficult, and you most likely won't get the job because you're going to need to know these simple things. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right, we're going to start off with creating a local administrator. Most companies are going to be using a domain, so you want to make sure that you use the actual person's Active Directory account and create that as the local administrator on their machine. This will give them permissions to install printers, install applications, install updates from Java, or do anything that would need administrative privileges that would be denied by the domain itself. So there's a few ways to do it in Windows 10. Windows 7, it's the same screen that you're going to go to, and it's computer management. So there's two ways in Windows 10. We can right-click here on the Start button and head up to Computer Management, or you can use the Start button and just type in Computer Management. Once Computer Management opens, we will click the drop-down for local users and groups. Now, here in the users is where you create local accounts that are specific to that computer itself. If you create a new user here, it will only show up on the machine that you add that to. Now, most likely, you're going to be at a company and you're going to be using a domain. So here, we'll click groups. And we have remote desktop users if you want to make a user able to remote desktop in. Right now, though, we're going to do administrators. This is where we grant that user local administrator rights to the machine that they will be using to download anything that they need. So we're going to double click, and right now I'm on work group, so we're going to miss one screen that's going to pop up. So normally you're going to click add. Now if you're connected to a domain, it's going to ask you for your domain credentials. That's where you type in the domain admin. Now, if you're working the help desk, you're most likely going to have domain admins to do certain things. You might not be able to take a computer off the domain and add it, but you should be able to access certain things to do your job, and this is something that you need to do your job. So, just to say, let's say your domain is Phoenix. This is where then you would type in the username like this. Now you can always check the name too, and it will come up and it will say, yes, this is the person that you want, and you click OK, and then you click OK. But for example, we'll just remove me for now, and we'll do Coop. We'll check name. There it is. Now, say you want to add a local user administrator rights, but you're on the domain. So here you're going to click locations. And under the locations, you would see your local computer name. This is my computer name. Or you would see the domain. Now, if the domain was corporation.com, you would see corporation.com, and you would highlight that and then click OK. And that would change the location to search for those users in that domain. It's pretty simple, just like that, and that's a very easy way to make someone an administrator. The local administrator rights will not take over until they log off and log back in, so just ensure that they do that, and they'll be good to go. Now, piggybacking off of making a user an administrator, let's look into making someone a local account. Now, this is good if you're going to have multiple people logging into the same machine and they want access to the same things. Or you want to be able to make a computer log in at login or startup. basically select users, right click, we're going to hit users. And this is where you type in the username, and we'll just do student, and we'll create a student password. And here's where you actually get some choices. User must change password at next logon. Up to you. Most of the time I leave this unchecked. User cannot change password. I always check this because say you were setting computers up for like a local kiosk that everyone needs to use to get access to the internet, and you get some bozo that wants to change the password and they know how to just by doing Control-Alt-Delete. Well, now they changed it. You don't know it. You have to remove the profile and re-add it, or you have to go into the administrator account. It's just too much of a hassle. So I tend to leave this checked, and you tend to want to leave, you want to check password never expires as well, just because you don't want to have that day come a year later, 60 days later, and that password expires. So you hit done, and we'll hit close. And just like that, you created your local account. Now, if you are using a domain, you must make sure that when you are logging into the domain, we'll open up Notepad really quick, that username, you would have to use /student, and then you would type in the password as student. But if you were on a domain, and that domain is corporation.com, and you were to type in student and then student password, it's going to be looking for that student account in Active Directory when it accesses the domain controller to log in. Doing the // defaults to the computer name. So you can also do, my computer name is Phoenix, so we can also do Phoenix student, and that will work as well. Just remember that whenever creating a local account and you're on the domain, you must use // to access that account. Alright, another task that you might be asked to do a lot is adding a network drive. Now there's two different ways to do it. There's either mapping a network drive or adding a network location. It depends on how the file share is set up. Mapping a network drive should work most of the time, especially with the permissions. So in Windows 10, we're going to hit the File Explorer here. And inside of File Explorer, we're going to hit this PC. This brings us to our devices and drives and folders and whatever else that your favorites, however you've set it up. From here, you're going to hit Computer at the top. Or you can right-click and do Add a Network Location. It's the same thing. Permissions take over a little differently depending on the SMB protocols. But for now, let's do Computer, and we're going to map network drive. And this is where you want to be careful. If there's anything in this network drive that references databases, and that database references a drive letter, you want to make sure that you use that same drive letter reference in the database. Most of the time, it's just departments having file shares, so it doesn't matter. Where I work, we use the O drive, and we're going to use //. Now, you use backslashes, the double backslash, to qualify the domain server name that's shared. So let's say that the file share is // file share. That's the name of the server where the files are shared. Okay. Now every backslash after this is a folder subset. So let's say we are going to do the accounting department. We'll do accounting. And that's the folder that the person that you're trying to map to has access to, and they have all the full access to the folders inside of that. Now you want to make sure that there's reconnect at sign-in, just so they don't call you every morning asking you to map it again. And if it's on another domain, or for some reason the networking team has given this person admin access to it, but using a different username for them, then you would just connect using different credentials. And you click finish. Of course, this is going to fail on me because I don't have the share up, but you would hit finish and it would say connected, and it would show up right here, drive letter O, and it would say file share accounting. It's awesome, easy, and honestly, I've done this a lot, and you do this probably daily. So try to remember that one. Alright, we're going to end this video on one last thing, and that's going to be joining a computer to the domain. Now, Windows 7, it was a little easier to get to the system properties window, but Windows 10, once you learn it, it's actually a lot easier. So we're going to go to File Explorer, and we're going to right click on this PC. This PC will always be there. So right click, and we're going to head to Properties. So this brings up the System Properties window. This also is going to be able to give you the computer name and the domain that it's on. I'm on Workgroup right now, and just heads up, if this does become popular, I'm going to create a virtual machine and a domain controller to show you guys more of what we can do within a help desk in a working environment. So we want to go to Change Settings under Computer Name, Domain, and Workgroup Settings. We're going to change settings, and to rename this computer or change its domain or workgroup, click Change. This is where we click Change. Now, you can do whatever you want to do to change the computer name. Now, most companies have a naming convention. Some use a service tag, some use what department or who's using it or what type of device it is. So just keep that in mind, and always ask your help desk manager or anyone else that you're working with in your new job what the naming convention is, and you hit domain. Now the domain, we're going to do corporation.com, and you would click OK. Now normally once you hit OK, it's going to ask you for the domain domain admin credentials. Now that domain admin has the permission set to join your computer to the domain. Most likely in a secure environment, your personal help desk account will not have these domain admin credentials. Most of the time, domain admin credentials are credentials that are just primarily used to join a computer to the domain. I hope that makes sense. If you give someone's account in the help desk permission to join a computer to the domain, you're going to run into issues, because now if that person ever gets hacked, someone finds out that password to that, now they have access to the whole domain, and that's not an ideal situation. So just remember that these credentials for the domain admin are very, very important. You don't want to lose them. So once we click OK, it would say pending here, and it would say pending here, change the name. And you must give your computer a restart. Restarting the computer joins the computer to the domain, creates the computer into the Active Directory, and then you're good. Alright, so we went over making a user an admin, creating a local account, mapping a network drive, and joining a computer to the domain. Honestly, these 4 things are very important in a help desk job. If you're learning a help desk job, if you're trying to get into a help desk job, you don't need computer training on this. It's literally simple things, but these are tasks that are going to be done in a help desk environment daily, weekly, sometimes hourly, depending upon how many people actually work in your company and how many you support. Now, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm really hoping that a lot of people start watching this. I have so much knowledge to give to you guys. I've been in the help desk field for a while, and I really hope that we can get this thing going. And if you guys want me to go over anything, just leave them in the comments below. Click that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks again.